So you're gonna keep mixing while everything is incorporating everything. And as soon as you feel that everything is incorporated, you turn off your heat and you bring it out of the heat. Hey, my future saints, I'm Ellie. Come take a trip around with me as we learn about the saints while discovering new flavors. We are back today with another episode, Cooking with Me. We are going to be discussing about new saint, Saint Jose Maria Escriva, and we are making churros. They are from Spain, which is where he's from, Spain. And it's a very simple ingredient, simple recipe that you can make home as well. So as we are learning about the saint, you are more than welcome. Get some ingredients. If you live by the store next to you, like I do, you can go quickly get some, put pause, get your ingredients, and we can work and do this churros together. And these are the ingredients that you're gonna need. We're gonna be using flour, which is something you should have in your pantry, but if you don't, you're more than welcome to purchase it. We are also gonna be using some water, a cup of water. We are gonna be using some butter, 1/4 of a cup of butter. Some sugar. We're using 2 small eggs, but if you have 1 large egg, that's okay as well. We're gonna use some salt to cut the sweetness, and some flavoring, which is vanilla extract. For the flour, you are allowed to use any flour that you wish. I'm using all-purpose flour, but if you want to use whole wheat flour, you are more than welcome to use the whole wheat. It might just give it a different texture, different flavor, but it's up to your likeness. All right, so we are now on the cooking part of it, of this session. So you want to get yourself a pot. Any pot works, just shallow enough in order to put your ingredients inside. And we're gonna start off with a cup of water, your salt, sugar, and your butter. You're gonna put it all in there. You get yourself a wooden spoon or a plastic one. A spatula is preferably, in order so that it won't get stuck into the utensil that you're using. So you're just gonna keep mixing it until everything is melted, the butter melts, everything's incorporated, and as soon as that happens, that's when you add your flour. You have that all while the stove is on. So meanwhile, you're just waiting for it to melt. So as soon as you see that the butter is melted, that's when you add your flour to your mixture while the stove is still on. This is gonna require some arm muscle because it will become very sticky and it will stick to your pan, and you do not want it to stick into your pan. So you're gonna have to try to mix it as quick as possible so that it's gonna create lumps, and that's normal. Don't be scared. It's supposed to create some lumps. So you're gonna keep mixing while everything is incorporating everything, and as soon as you feel that everything is incorporated, you turn off your heat and you bring it out of the heat. So you keep mixing it while it's still pretty hot, and as soon as you feel that everything is incorporated, it's still pretty lumpy, but that's okay. After that, you're gonna bring your eggs in. So you bring one at a time. You incorporate it very well. This is gonna make everything kind of separate, but that's okay because you're gonna continue mixing it, which will blend everything once again together. I like to bring it to the very edge because like that it's easier to mix. And as soon as you feel that the other egg is incorporated, that's when you add your second egg to it. Once again, it's gonna separate like it did with the first one, but if you just continue mixing it, it will incorporate together. You shouldn't see any more of the yolk floating around. You shouldn't see any more, and you should have that consistency that it's pretty together. That is not droopy, it's not watery, and it's not like super hard where you can't even mix it. And then you should add your flavoring to it. I'm using vanilla extract, but You can use any extract that you wish to have on the flavor of the churros. I also have almond extract that I like to add, but I stuck with vanilla, but any extract works as well. It's just to give it that extra little flavor for the churros. And this is the consistency that you should have towards the end of it. And this is where you get into your piping bag. In my case, we are using a condiments squeeze bottle, but if you have your piping bag, you're allowed to use them any shape. You can make little shapes. This is your time to let your creativity run loose. So that's where it is, and then we move on to the frying part. Okay, we are back in our frying part. If you can see in the oil, there is a little floating ball of dough, and that is just to ensure when the oil is hot, and as you can see, it's very sizzling, which is ready. Your oil is hot and ready to pour. So if you had a piping pan, it would be much easier, but you know what, anything works as well. So I'm using a condiment squeezing bottle, and I'm using a knife to cut the churros out. Sadly, we're not gonna get that iconic shape of it. So you get it, you squeeze it as much as you wish, you cut it up and you drop it in the oil. As soon as that happens, then you just keep watching it in order until it is looking golden brown. And as soon as that you have the desired color that you wish to have, obviously you don't want to burn, but as soon as you have the desire of the color, then you just pull them out, have them resting to soak in all that extra oil, and ready for the next part. But while I finish putting all of them in, I will be talking about who we are here to talk about, which is Saint Josemaria. He was born in 1902 in a small town in Spain. He had 3 younger siblings, girls, and he lived with both his parents. So since a very young age, they didn't have much money while growing up. He lost his sisters. They passed away very young, before he was 15. They had passed away, and before that as well, during that time, after losing his siblings, his dad's company also, or business better say, crashed and they had to close. This resulted in them in moving to a different part of Spain. But even then, when they did move to a different area, maybe to start a new life, like many of our families that come to the U.S. to start new lives, it still wasn't the best. They still were struggling very, very hard. His dream, his very long desired dream, he wanted to be an architect. But from a very young age, as 15, he felt a calling towards the priesthood, and that's what he decided to go for. All right, if you're seeing the pod, let's go back to the churros before they burn on us. Some of them are turning the color that we wish. So as soon as we want them, we like the color that we desire, then we can pull them out. Okay. So at an age of 15, he wanted to be a priest. He went into a retreat in Madrid where he just fell in love with the Catholic faith. He was raised in a very, very strict household, or very devoted household, better say, which also led him into wanting to become a priest in general. He was the founder of Opus Dei, which means works of God. He was able to find sanctification in any object of his normal routine, any day, anything of his ordinary life. He was able to find that, and he encouraged that all very, very much in everyone that he was around, to just be blessed and you find the good of what has God given us in just everyday life. And I think that's very, very something good to look up to. You know, sometimes we may take things for granted, and if we're talking about it in the sense right now of quarantine that we're in, or we're just looking at the negative aspects of what's going on. On the contrary, I mean, we should be grateful for what we have. maybe it isn't what we want. We want to be out. This summer, this heat is affecting us all. We want to be out. We want to do all these things, but in a sense, we should be grateful that we have sunlight. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know, very burning. It's very hot, but other people don't get to experience that as much as we do. So just being grateful for what we have. We're having, some of us are communicating, I'm a student. Some of us are complaining how we don't want classes online, we'd rather be in person. But we have the privilege to still be able to attend school. Other students, other kids around the world may not have that privilege. And we're complaining because we're at home instead of at a campus that it might be difficult. But we have that privilege to do so, and I think that's what we have to really be looking into, like being grateful that we're able to have such thing, because not everyone is able to. And I think he made that very specific, very well aware how we're supposed to live our daily lives, our ordinary lives. More talking about his life. Moreover, talking more about his life. While growing up, he already had to become priest. In Spain, they had a civil war, during the civil war, they were persecuting a lot of nuns and priests. They were burning churches. They were killing lots of nuns and priests, and because of it, he went into hiding. But which was pretty remarkable is like, okay, so if you know that you're being persecuted, the first thing that you would want to do is to hide and not to get out of hiding, not to make yourself obvious, because you can see all these killings that are going on in your life, around you, with like maybe it could be their very close priest that they're close with, or nun. So the correct thing would be to continue and stay in hiding. But on the contrary, he didn't. Because of it, he had to go into hiding to different places. He would move from one place to another place, so he won't be captured. But it went to a point where he even had to hide in an insane asylum, pretending to be insane so that they wouldn't persecute him, they wouldn't kill him. But during all this time that he was being persecuted, that he went into hiding, this didn't mean that he wasn't going to be continuing doing his confession to the people. He didn't communicating the word of God. On the contrary, he still continued to do so. He would do it underground. He would do it obviously where they wouldn't see him, for those that were devout Catholics, and he would continue doing this. And I think that's just something to follow as well, that even in great times of danger where you're being persecuted, don't give up. Continue to doing what you love. And he loved his faith. He loved what he was doing. He loved the people. He loved his life. So I think that sometimes, maybe not in a sense where we're being persecuted, but to continue striving to do our mission. We all have a mission in life. We all have things that we are required to do, that our calling is. But to not be afraid of what others think. We may not be persecuted like he was, but we may be shot down by our family, by our friends, saying, no, you're not good at that, we're going to continue doing that. But continue doing that, because that is what your calling is. And I think that's just a great role model to follow, in that sense, where we continue striving to do our complete best for the better good of everything. And he was a great role model to do that thing. And he, while being persecuted, he continued still to follow in the faith and never gave up on the sacraments to complete. He still was a great role model. After everything, he continued to founding the Opus Dei. And I think that's just a great role model to continue striving. So I say look him up, learn more information about him. This is just a little bit to know about him, but there is so much more to know. And I encourage you guys to continue looking for your mission in life and finding what is your calling. So that was Jose Maria Escriva and your churros from his home country.